Hello and welcome into Moose Talk Answers Behind the Antlers. I'm your host, Nick Lalpuis. Today we are joined by Cejay Suarez. He had his first year as the Mariners manager coach last season. First of all, Cejay, welcome in. How have you been holding up?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Love talking about Sanford. Special place for me, and it's a special place in the league. And I love talking about the place to other people that aren't familiar with the league, and just happy to be here.
And, of course, any of the fans that they're watching this, make sure to follow us. You can submit your own questions. We got the coach this week. We're going to start getting into the players coming up pretty soon. If you want to submit your own questions for future episodes, just follow us on Instagram or on Twitter, Sanford Mainers. All right, Coach, well, let's get right into it. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of action going on in the sports world. So what does a coach find themselves doing in this kind of era of we're just kind of waiting to see when we'll be able to get back out on the field?
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of guys are, trying to make themselves better, doing some networking and listening to some people that, are high up in baseball and learning from those guys. That could be things such as pitching, fielding, different things within the game. Lucky enough that, I'm lucky enough to be in the state of Florida where everything's pretty much open up. And, our teams here at Mayhem Nation organization, we just got going this past weekend for our first tournament. And we're just trying to get our players ready to go and, improve their skills before, high school tryouts start next spring for those guys.
So what has that kind of been like, getting them back out there and trying to get them prepared for this next phase of their baseball career going into high school?
A lot of rust, a lot of those kids got a little rusty over those, month and a half, 2 months off. And, but it's been good. We took 3 weeks of practice. We wanted to make sure we had a spring training type atmosphere for those kids, get them, their bodies back in game shape before we started playing tournaments and doing that type of stuff. And then it was good to see, them play this past weekend, and they got excited. It seemed like it was opening day again for them. And, some of our teams were super young, being 11 years old, and some of them were 14. And, you can tell that they learned a lot within we had Zoom talks during the quarantine, just information, just trying to get them mentally prepared for when we come back. Mm-hmm. And you could tell that, they retained a lot of the information. And but overall, it was awesome to be back on the field. And even though it's a little hot and humid down here, it's better than sitting inside.
I'm sure the conditioning probably wasn't as great as some of the kids would hope, especially like you said, in that heat and humidity, but I'm sure they just loved getting back out there.
Absolutely. I think guys from Florida especially, they'd rather be hot than they'd rather be cold. So, a little sweat doesn't hurt them once in a while.
All right. And then, so what kind of intrigued you? What kind of drew you to making the switch to being a coach? And with that, what was it like your first season as at the helm of the Mainers, going on the bus rides with the college kids? What drove you to being a coach? And then was it anything what you expected on your first year with Sanford?
Yeah, so it's funny is when I was a player at Bridgeton Academy, I played for Aaron Isaac, and I said that's got to be the coolest job in the world. You're a coach. You work at a school. You're helping kids go to the next level and play college ball, but you're teaching the game. And I always tell people, we're teaching life skills through the game. Responsibility, time management, all that things that, when it comes to real life stuff that they're going to know and they're going to be better at than a lot of people. So I just thought that was the coolest job in the world. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I'm pretty an active person. I knew I couldn't just, have a 9-to-5 job. It just wasn't for me. And so after college, going to coach with Izzy up at Bridgeton, it was a blessing in disguise. He taught me a lot, but it was awesome. And then, having the opportunity to transition from an assistant coach in the league and to being a head coach of the Sanford Mainers, it was a blessing. It was a little different. You're used to somebody else starting practice, starting the games. And, I kind of was looking around at my assistants in day one when the players showed up, and I'm like, are we going to start practice? And one of my assistants is like, dude, you have to start practice. Like, so, I mean, being young, I was 25 when I got my first job, obviously, as a head coach. And, there was a bit of a transition period, but, Sanford's a special place. Goodall's even better. It's just I love being the head coach now. Obviously, there's a little bit more responsibility and whatnot, but it's kind of your train, and you can run it on whatever track you want.
Yeah. So going back real quick, the first day of practice, what is it like when you have all the, obviously some of these players know each other. They maybe go to the same school, keep in touch, but a lot of these rosters are made up from people from all over the country. So what is it like on that first day when you have the new assistant coaches, you have, the new head coach, and you have all these different players? Kind of what is it like, and how quickly do they all mesh together? Because I know that pretty quickly these rosters do find a really good chemistry, but just on that first day and then first year being a head coach, what is it like getting all those different players and different personalities together?
Yeah, it's super relaxed, and they're trying to get to know each other, and we're just doing simple things like taking batting practice on the field and taking extra ground balls. It's nothing too intense. It's more just getting to know the players as people. Obviously we have a decent understanding following their spring season at college of kind of what kind of player they are. But that's always not the case either. I mean, you could be an all-conference guy at whatever school you're at and then come to Sanford and not have a great summer, but it could go the other way around. We had Drew DiMartino last year, and he had an okay spring. He started really slow, but he ended up being an all-star in the league. Sometimes just a change of scenery for those guys is the best thing. And for those guys, they're just trying to get to know each other. And a lot of them have played against each other in travel baseball before going to college. Some of the older guys may have played together beforehand at other summer collegiate leagues. And then obviously, we always have returners. Everybody wants to come back to Sanford if they're not going down the Cape. And I think that's special about, it says a lot about the organization, the people in it, and just the city. And, so it's super laid back. We're just trying to get to know them. And I even take the first 2 weeks, and I don't talk about baseball with those guys. I just talk about, everything but the game. And what's a day in the life of Sterling Hayes at Vanderbilt, or what's a day in the life of Drew DiMartino at Hartford, and kind of learning the ins and outs of the kids. And then once you figure out them as people, then after 2 weeks you can start working with them a little bit on different mechanics or different approaches and whatnot like that.
Awesome. So this one is a fan submitted question, and this kind of gets into a little bit of the ritual or a day in the life of the coach. Do you have a favorite dugout snack that you have to have a go-to every single game?
A large dark iced coffee. That's it.
Iced coffee. Okay. All
That's it. Yeah, and when we're home, we're lucky enough that Izzy brings usually the coffee for the coaching staff, and it's funny. We're obviously super dehydrated after a long, a sweaty BP, but the first thing we think about is getting caffeine in us to keep the energy high throughout the game. So it's definitely black iced coffee.
Is a certain shop he gets it from?
It's either Dunkin' Donuts or Aroma Joe's. It's Aroma Joe's is more of a New England type place, a little coffee shop chain. And Dunkin' Donuts is obviously nationwide and always a go-to.
I wasn't sure if you guys were, real particular or superstitious about it had to be from a certain place. So the next one, so do you have a pregame meal? Anything that you do maybe before you even get to the stadium for batting practice?
So last summer, me and our assistant coach Nick Lops, we'd go to the local diner every day before a game. I can't remember the name of it. It's right in Sanford too. It's bad that I can't remember it because we went there every single day. Between me and him, we would probably eat 2 omelets and 5 eggs on top of that. Just I don't know what it was, but we had high protein diets then, and just overall it was our favorite place to go.
And then that's a good hearty meal as well. So that keeps you going. Then you get the iced coffee. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good.
Hold you over, right? That's the whole point of it, right? So yeah, that was the I can't think. Third Alarm Diner is what it's called. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't think about it. That's terrible by me, but that was our go-to every day. We pretty much got the same thing every single day, which is pretty impressive that we didn't get sick of it.
That is. And all right, and then the last part, obviously, post-game meal. And does it change if you have a win or a loss, or is the post game is that a little more abstract than your pregame routine?
So post game, it varies a little bit. When we're home, we always know that the organization has great post game meals for our players. Sometimes the coaching staff will dive into that a little bit. Majority of the time, we go to Applebee's after the games, break down the game, maybe tomorrow's game or just a week ahead of what we need to get done. But Applebee's, it could vary. It could be a salad. It could be wings. It could kind of be anything.
All right. So, but it almost always Applebee's, huh? And
always well, after a home game, the only place in Sanford that's open is Applebee's.
There we go. So, I guess obviously that's got to be rocking after a game, I guess.
Absolutely.
Join y'all.
A little half-price apps never hurt anybody.
Oh, of course not. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit of a speed round here. We got a little bit of the this or that questions. This one, there was one that I wrote up. I didn't know where you were from, where you lived, so that one might be pretty easy. I'll get with the first one, though. We'll go with ice cream. Vanilla or chocolate?
Vanilla.
Vanilla. Okay, vanilla. All right, now we go to wings. Talking about you get wings at Applebee's.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the drumsticks or the flats? Me, personally, I'm an all-flats guy.
All flats. Same.
There we go.
I don't know why though. I'm a big flats guy. I'll eat the drumsticks. It is what it is. But I always eat the flats last.
Yeah, for some reason the flats taste a little bit better. I can't explain it.
I agree.
All right. So this next one. So right now it's about 95 degrees here in Texas. So 105-degree Texas heat or a snowy day in Maine.
105-degree heat.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I being from New England my whole life, I was so sick of the snow, and I was lucky enough to come to Florida, and I can handle the heat.
Yeah, I have my sister. She's obviously from Texas. She went up to NYU for freshman year this year in college, and she got through the first winter, and she said it wasn't too bad, and she kind of enjoyed it. But yeah, she was like, it's kind of nice to be back here and kind of warm up a little bit. So all right. So again, we're on the same side there with the heat. All right. So the new gaming consoles, at least the designs came out. Are you going to get the new Xbox or the PlayStation?
Probably neither, to be honest. I haven't had a game console in probably almost 10 years now. My brother has the Xbox One. He plays it all the time. But I would say, to answer the question, it would be an Xbox One because it'll probably be for my brother, but I'll benefit for it.
That's impressive. I wish I could have something like that, but I've always got to have a console with me. I know I still got my Xbox 360 for my NCAA football, and then you got the PS4. Obviously, got to have the show. All right, we got two more here. Coke or Pepsi? Either. Are you not a soda guy? I know I'm
not really a soda guy, but I mean, a Diet Coke here and there is not a bad thing. So
we can change that to iced coffee. Iced coffee.
Yeah.
And then the last one, for some reason, this always seems to be a little bit of a hot topic issue. Pancakes or waffles?
Probably pancakes.
Pancake.
Yeah, not really. I don't know. I mean, they're both unbelievable, so I can't. It's hard to choose, but if someone said pancakes or waffles, I say pancakes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That concludes our speed round. One or two more questions. So do you have any maybe stories that come off the top of your head that you can share with an audience? Any fun stories from being on the road? I know you get to really know these guys, the players. They really show their characters out there. So any fun stories from any travel days or just maybe any off days with some of those players last year?
Yeah, one story it comes to mind is we're locally in Sanford on an off day, and we had an event at the Kiwanis Club, and maybe not a funny story, but a just good camaraderie story of just how the guys come together. And I got a chance to, speak to the club but bring along about 5 players with me. And I picked the, majority of the leaders of our team, guys that I trusted off the field. And not that I didn't trust our whole team, I did. It's just good to just hang out with those guys and get to know them, on a bigger level than just baseball. And, I said it in my speech there that, these are going to be like friends for life. And I still talk to those guys, once a month. Some guys, still reach out to me weekly, which is pretty impressive. It just shows you kind of you had a meaningful experience with them for those 2 months. And, I always look forward to meeting new guys and, building strong relationships with those kids that could almost last a lifetime. And my first summer in the league, I still talk to the players when I was an assistant in Plymouth that, I still talk to, I would say 95% of those guys. And it's pretty impressive. It was only 4 years ago, but some of those guys are done playing now, or they're still playing pro ball, and they love to hear from you, and it's good because, like I said, it shows you help them through 2 months of their life that that are meaningful for them.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know the full extent. I got to work with a team in Texas a few years ago, but I think people on the outside, they don't realize how much these kinds of things, like you said, the 2 months out of the year, the kind of bonds that are formed during these seasons. So that is a real cool story, and cool to hear that you hear from a lot of these guys. I mean, once a week, once a month. I mean, that is really cool.
Yeah. Overall, I love it. I mean, it's 2 months, and it's like you're with them every single day. So you're going to know the ins and outs of who they are as people, who's going to be the guys that are late all the time, who are the guys that, even go to the YMCA and hit the gym every single day, no matter what. But, also the same guys, you always think about, like, who would I hang out with on this team when I was in college? And, those are the guys you're always going to stay in touch with forever. So,
yeah. All right. This last one, maybe for any younger people watching who maybe think about wanting to be a coach one day, to you, what is the most important trait in a good coach?
I'd say communication. I wasn't a great communicator when I started out, but I worked for a great guy, Izzy, and he's an excellent communicator. Just getting your point across, and but also having them understand things, because if a player can't understand something, if it's why we have this rule or why we're teaching this way, he's not going to retain any of the information, and it's not going to be a one size fits all type thing. But using different communication skills to benefit the players as people and as players is huge, and it's something that has grown on me big time, and something I'll take with me the rest of my life.
All right, well, there you go. Communication is key. And then one more thing, though. Out of any of the players last year, who you think would be one of the more interesting interviews? Who do you want to see on this little segment maybe throughout the summer? Any names jump out in your head?
Couple names. Ryan Turen's a good one. I had Ryan at Bridgeton, so I was lucky enough to really get to know him there. And he's one of those guys I talk to almost daily or weekly, and he's a character, but he's a great human being. Another guy that definitely comes to mind, I think, was the jokester of the team last year. Great human being is Brendan Oxford, left-handed pitcher from Wake Forest. He kept it light, and I think he was a big reason why everybody stayed last summer. We only won 17 games last year, and not having players leave early is the biggest part of summer ball. That they had a good experience. But I would say those two, and if you had to get a dynamic duo on there, a 2-for-1, it's Drew DiMartino and Sterling Hayes. Those two are brothers, and if you were to go a 2-for-1, get those two on.
All right, well, we'll reach out to him. We'll try and get him on at some point. Well, thank you so much, Coach Suarez. Wish you the best down in Florida, continuing, I guess, training with these future high schoolers, right?
Absolutely. We're excited to do it.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much, and good luck down there, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.